The stock market is in free fall, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it got really bad. We're talking double digits, down 10%, almost upwards of 20% for many of these tech stocks. And what's the reason? It's hard to know for sure. Donald Trump says that once the polls started swinging for Kamala Harris, then the market went. I don't think he's wrong. I think Trump makes a really good point because when the polls show a Donald Trump victory, things start improving in the market because people begin investing under the presumption that a Donald Trump presidency, a Trump administration, is going to be better for the economy. Now, you take a look at which stocks are falling and which stocks are rising, and I think Trump is actually correct. Not absolutely. It's not like 100% that because Kamala Harris is now, well, she's tied with Trump in the polls. I got the aggregates. I'll show you. But it's more so that if Kamala Harris is to win, what do we expect to see? World War III. You think I'm kidding or trying to be cute? Defense stocks are skyrocketing right now. If the only thing you invested in was like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, you are swimming in cash right now. Now, for those of us like me, I've invested in, I don't have like a lot of investments. Nothing like your average 401k or anything like that. But I've got tech. I invested in graphene. And that, and everything's down. Altogether, I'm up only a little bit for my lifetime. So it's basically erased all the gains over the past decade of investing. But maybe not that much. But to be fair, a lot of people are saying just don't sell. It's unrealized. And it's the panic that causes people to actually lose their money because it's likely this will rebound. But the big question is whether or not Donald Trump will win. And I got to tell you, my friends, I was actually shocked to discover that Kamala Harris has no policy positions on her website. I saw someone tweet this and I thought it was fake news. So I went to her website. Tain't nothing there. And apparently it's the first time in American history that there's been a presidential candidate with no stated policy goals or positions. Kind of interesting. But I mean, maybe that's not necessarily true. I mean, I should say there's probably a lot of candidates that never had any real positions, but for a major contender, right? And it's also possible, too, she will just put them up on her site eventually. There's a funny image that went viral of the Democrats saying we're just a couple weeks out from the DNC, and it's a picture of a bunch of Michelle banners and Kamala standing in the middle. Strangely, people are acting like it's an AI image. I don't understand. I thought it was like a trial balloon for a Michelle VP, like see what people would say about the Michelle signs all around Kamala Harris, maybe. And people are like, that's an old photo, Tim. And I'm just like, I don't know. Do you think that the AI generated the photo or they already had the DNC? I don't know. I thought they were intentionally showing Michelle's name all around Kamala to try and trial balloon this, but we'll talk about it. Then in the UK, mass riots, the worst rioting in decades, as let's just call them like native UK men have begun protesting and rioting. And it's kind of crazy because what happens is you get this dude kills 3 young girls. Taylor Swift responds to it. Then you end up with some protests, which in response, you end up with a bunch of Muslim men marching around with weapons and there's violence and fights, people being injured, which then you get these wave of riots. So we'll go through that. I'm not a leading expert on the UK. I did reach out to a few friends to ask about what was really going on, notably Carl Benjamin. And we've got some statements from Tommy Robinson. We've got, this is crazy, my friends, RFK Jr. admitted to dumping a dead bear in Central Park and staging a bicycle accident, which is illegal in so many ways. I guess, he says he wasn't drinking, his friends were, and so they decided to do this. The story is nuts, but apparently New Yorker got a hold of the story, and so he's trying to preempt it, and it is bad. It is the weirdest. It is a bad story. I don't think he's beyond the statute of limitations for what some of these crimes may turn out to be. There's federal violations in dumping dead wild animals in public places like this. So, it's a wild story. And then, of course, we have the gender controversy at the Olympics. Iman Khalif screams, "I am a woman." And there's some misinformation going around. I see this tweet going crazy where people are like, 2 men will fight for gold. Not true. There are 2 biological males reportedly that are in 2 different weight classes that are still fighting women. And there is no reality in which they will fight each other. So we'll talk about all of this. We're going to start with the stock market crash, my friends. Before we get started, head over to Timcast.com, click join us, become a member. Why? Because as a member, well, you make all this possible. Our members are what allow us to do the show, to be here in the morning for you guys, as well as Timcast IRL. So click join us at timcast.com. You'll get access to the Discord server. You can hang out with like-minded individuals and also hang out for the members-only uncensored call-in show Monday through Thursday at 10 p.m. That is a whole nother hour, usually about 45 minutes, where you submit questions. The users of the community, they vote on those questions, and then they decide if your question is good. They put you front and center on the show with us and our guest. So join us. But also, head over to castbrew.com, buy Cast Brew coffee. It's the best damn coffee you'll ever have. Yo, Ian's Graphene Dream. People are saying it's better than Appalachian Nights. I'm really surprised. We sell Appalachian Nights like hotcakes, but Ian's Graphene Dream has been selling like crazy too. The crazy thing about it is when we first started, Rise with Roberto Jr. was like our flagship. We were like, Roberto Jr. the Rooster, morning, breakfast, blend, light roast, all that stuff. And the sales were straight up. And Appalachian Nights was secondary. Man, excuse me. And then once people got a taste of that Appalachian Nights, they just kept buying the other one. Now the same thing's happening with Ian's Graphene Dream. So I'm glad we got another hit. So if you want to support the company and buy our coffee, you can. We got good news that the coffee shop over in Martinsburg is advancing. Really great stuff. So really happy to hear that. But let's get started on this first story, my friends. We've got this from CNBC. Dow futures tumble 1,000 points as global stock market rout intensifies. Live updates. Let me show you this first. This is the Yahoo Finance trending tickets. The S&P, as of the recording of this live show, minus 2.67%. The Dow is 2.34. The NASDAQ is 3.6. The Russell 2000 is 4.61. Now, the CBOE Volatility Index up 100%. Oh, my God. That's amazing. And you can see Bitcoin way down. Bitcoin is now at 51. It actually dipped below 50,000. So the crypto market is also getting slammed. Let's see if we can, who has the worst percentage change here? Ethereum is down nearly 20%. Robinhood, 18%. Reportedly, Robinhood shut down after market trading, 24-hour trading. So this is absolutely crazy. Bitcoin is just getting rocked. The Nikkei index is seeing its worst since, what do we have this one? Since the Black Monday crash, 1987. Why is all of this happening? Well, we can throw it to our good friend, Donald Trump, for answers. Let's see if we can pull it up. Donald Trump says Japan down 12, India down 6, Germany way down, U.S. really bad. This is a preview of the world markets without Donald J. Trump in the White House. None of this happens if Trump is in. Kamala and the markets don't go together. She'll destroy the markets. She's in power now, and look at what's happening. 1 week of the fake media saying better polls, and you get a market crash. The legendary Howard Lutnick. So that's not actually Trump's statement. He's citing Howard Lutnick. We have this. Trump posted, stock markets are crashing. Job numbers are terrible. We are heading to World War III, and we have two of the most incompetent, quote, leaders in history. This is not good. So I believe I have is the tweet here? Yeah. So I tweeted, what market crash? It's just World War III. No worries. Invest properly. Here's Lockheed Martin in the past month up 18.49%. We're loving it, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? Let me jump over here to the Yahoo Finance, and let's go by top change. MGO Global's up 55%. Ultra VIX Term Futures, 42. Kellanova, Tyson Foods, there you go. Hey, now we're seeing the shift here. Lockheed Martin is now down 1%. Apparently, World War III won't save you neither. Unless you were shorting it, I guess. But this is actually funny because when we jump over here, before the market opened, we could see that tech versus defense stocks. Intel, AMD, Microsoft, Tesla, Alphabet, all down. Northrop Grumman up. Lockheed Martin up. Basie Systems, stagnant. Oshkosh, stagnant. I'm not familiar with Oshkosh. Halliburton down. But I think it's important to mention that Halliburton isn't really a defense contractor. Halliburton was doing construction in Iraq. So my understanding for Halliburton is that they do like infrastructure builds and things like this. Of course, Bitcoin is also crashing. I mean, look at this. BTC's down 17%, currently at 50. Is this for real? Wow. Okay, so it's improved. I refreshed. Minus about 14%. Ethereum's about let's just say about 18.49. Bitcoin is 13.79. BNB, Sol, everything taking a major hit. And the question is why. You'd think something like Bitcoin and Ethereum would go up in this market crash. But the only thing I can say, I'm not a big market guy, I don't know a whole lot about this, is that people want dollars, I assume. Now, it would be prudent of me to pull up current precious metal prices. So let's do this. We'll grab that and throw that into the mix. Find a... what is this? That's not a good enough website. I hate these websites. There we go. Let's see. AP Mex. Everything is down. This is nuts. Look at this. Gold is down. Silver's down. Platinum is down. Palladium is down. That's wild. What's the explanation? Are people investing in other markets, or are they just trying to hold U.S. dollars right now? That's what I find particularly interesting. Now, over at CNBC, they say Wall Street's fear gauge, the VIX, rises to the highest since the pandemic market plunge. That's what I was just showing you when we can see here the volatility index. Yo, that is amazing. VIX up 100%. When things get bad, that's apparently what people are interested in holding. CNBC reports a key measure of expected volatility in the stock market surged to its highest level in more than 4 years on Monday morning as global equities fell sharply. The CBOE volatility index broke above 60 on Monday, up from about 23 on Friday, roughly 17 weeks ago. Woo! Holy smokes. Well, it dropped back down, but look at that. This is the highest the VIX has been since March 2020, shortly after the Federal Reserve emergency actions during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to FactSet, the VIX rose as high as $85.47 in March 2020, according to FactSheet. The VIX is calculated based on market pricing for options on the S&P 500. It is designed to be a measure of expected volatility over the next 30 days and is often referred to as Wall Street's fear gauge. Since the COVID sell-off subsided, the VIX has been subdued, often trading below 20%. While spikes in the VIX often coincide with deep market sell-offs, they can also be short-lived and precede a rebound for stocks. You have to watch the VIX when the VIX peaks and starts to roll over and fall down. The recovery can be just as quick. And that's true. So I'll tell you, my friends, let me pull up my my personal holdings. I think, what do we have here for the month? Yikes. In the day, in the week. So for the week, I'm down 20% personally, 20%. And for the month, only 10%. So it's fine. 3 month out is 10%. For the year, I'm flat, and all time I've seen 2% up, 2% up all time holding for my stocks. Earlier, before the market opened, it was actually substantially worse, and it seems to be rebounding a little bit. Bless those who buy the dip, because when the prices go down, people see opportunity. And I'll say that for Bitcoin too. Again, no financial advice here from me. I only talk politics. Okay, I can tell you about the financial markets. I don't know how to invest properly. What am I holding? I've got stock in like Rumble. I got stock in Graphene, a carbon company. And what else do I have? I've got like Graphene and Rumble, because like I'm not a big stock guy. I don't track this stuff that much. Square. I've held Square for a teeny bit of Square for a long time. Tesla. I got Tesla. That's basically about it, other than some like crypto stuff. I have BuzzFeed. How's my BuzzFeed doing? Oh, my BuzzFeed is down 8%. Oh, that's nuts. Yikes. Oh, jeez. But overall, I'm up on BuzzFeed. Shout out to Vivek Ramaswamy. So here's the thing what people are saying about Bitcoin. With the market crashing, everybody I know, they're going nuts trying to buy it up as much as they can. And I'm not saying you should, but you know what's funny? I'm going to pull up this meme for you guys. Because it's not, dude, it pissed off so many people that I'm going to show you here for this. This is mostly a joke. I was like mostly kidding. I wrote the CIA invented Bitcoin. I saw this meme. My brother showed it to me. And so I asked ChatGPT, what does Satoshi mean in Japanese? It says, in Japanese, the name Satoshi generally means wise or intelligent. It's a common male name. And then I said, what does Nakamoto mean? Nakamoto is a Japanese surname. The characters can be broken down as follows. Naka means middle or center, and moto means origin or base. So Nakamoto can be interpreted as central origin or root of the center. And of course, in Japanese, it's always last name first, your clan name followed by your identifier within the clan. And that would be Nakamoto Satoshi. in which case the name means Central Origin Intelligence. I thought it was just funny. I don't literally, but people take everything literally. It's got 2.5 million views. Tons of Bitcoin people are pissed off. But I got to tell you this. I've long believed that Bitcoin there's a very strong probability that the goal of Bitcoin literally was a one world currency and that there are powerful global interests behind it. That makes it a good bet. You know, it's funny because like the anarchists and the libertarians are like, no, Tim, you can't say that. That's not true. That's wrong. You're making things up. And I'm like, bro, if that's true, Bitcoin's going to the moon, baby, and never coming back. It's going to be at Pluto before you know it. I was talking to some friends the other night, and I mentioned that like everything you buy on Bitcoin is trackable. Every exchange, you create a very simple algorithm. It's going to know exactly who you are, where you're trading, and how you're trading, and what you're buying, and who you're buying it with. That is a global, public, transparent ledger that anybody can read. So, I mean, that's a globalist spy's wet dream. Now, that being said, maybe not. No idea. Doesn't matter. If it is true that there's a value in this as a global medium of exchange in some way or store of value, Bitcoin's going to the moon. And so there's a lot of people right now. And I'm not telling you what to do. Don't buy. I don't know. No, that's advice too. Don't do anything. Don't listen to me. I have no idea. I have Bitcoin. I ain't going to be selling it. In fact, I probably will buy the dip. That's me personally. A lot of people I know in Bitcoin are excited to see this happen. People are selling off their Bitcoin at a premium low when many expect Bitcoin to be skyrocketing, especially in the next administration with Donald Trump's support for Bitcoin. So we shall see, my friends. We shall see. But I'd like to talk to you today in this about what Donald Trump was saying. First, I'd like to show you a little bit more data. 24-hour stock market's got Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Meta, Tesla, all down double digits, except for Microsoft, which is down 9%. When Donald Trump posted this quote from Howard Lutnick saying that 1 week of fake polls saying that Kamala is going to win and the market starts crashing, I don't think that's wrong. We have this from Real Clear Polling, Trump versus Harris, 5-way, and we can see that Donald Trump now in aggregate is only up by 0.8%. That is so far within the margin of error. Now, polling typically and historically has favored Democrats in a lot of ways. We don't know if that will remain the case because polling has changed through mass migration and a bunch of other issues. We have no idea. And I mean internal migration as well as immigration. You got people in New York moving to Texas and Florida, and that's going to change voter makeup. Democrats are likely trying to replace those lost citizens to bolster up their congressional seats by bringing in mass illegal immigrants. So should be interesting. You've got these. So imagine this. A New York district, let's say like Manhattan, and it's so dense. There's several. I don't know. Let's do this. Let's do AOC's. What is she in? 14? New York 14? So you've got New York's 14. And let's say 10%, probably not 10%. That's a lot. Let's say 5%, which is going to come out to like 30K people or something like that. Move to Florida or Texas. These are moderate types who might vote Democrat, but don't like living there. So they leave. They then go down to Florida or Texas. If they move into weaker red areas, they could flip it blue or pull it more moderate. Considering they're fleeing Democrat policies, I think it's much more likely they're going to vote red. In an already red area, it changes nothing. Now, in these areas, like in New York, this only matters, it'll only matter in 6 years when they do the census. So this happens in COVID. Democrats are probably thinking, look, we lost. It's a fact that it was during COVID, it was 500,000 out of Manhattan left. That's basically a congressional seat and an electoral vote. So Democrats then say, bring in illegal immigrants. That will pad the numbers because we don't apportion congressional seats by citizenry. We do it by person. So if the Democrats replace citizens who have fled their failing policies with non-citizens, they retain the political power. In fact, it becomes much easier to win their elections because the more conservative-leaning people have left. That is a strong possibility of what is currently happening. Now, with the polling that we're seeing, historically based on the bias, this should actually still favor a Donald Trump victory. And 538, I'm sorry, not 538. Nate Silver, he's got a separate model now. He left 538. His model currently favors Donald Trump, though it is a toss-up. Rumor is that at some point today, and we may already be getting the information. I want to make sure that let's check this out. Kamala Harris may be announcing Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, as the VP choice. Apparently, Shapiro has apologized for being pro-Israel, which I can't say is surprising because he wants to be the Democratic VP. But many progressives are outraged, saying they will not support Josh Shapiro. And they said it's because of his attitudes towards Muslims and Arabs in the Middle East. And apparently the dude's not even like abjectly pro-Israel. So kind of funny. But he had some choice words for the protesters. I think the real reason is that the progressives just don't like Jewish people. And so tough call there for Kamala Harris, because she wants this guy to be her VP so she can try and win Pennsylvania. That shuts out Trump. Not a guarantee. Trump's also facing some turmoil in Georgia, where he's repeatedly slammed Brian Kemp and Raffensperger, but mostly Kemp. I think Kemp is let me make sure I'm getting the details right. The governor. Yeah, Kemp. And Kemp has responded. Let me pull this one up. He said, we got this tweet here for you. My focus is on winning this November and saving our country from Kamala Harris and the Democrats, not engaging in petty personal insults, attacking fellow Republicans, or dwelling on the past. You should do the same, Mr. President, and leave my family out of it. Because, of course, Donald Trump, very, very negative on Raffensperger and Brian Kemp. And so Kemp is still apparently saying he's going to be supporting Donald Trump. We'll see how that plays out. But in Georgia, I believe we have current polling showing that Kamala Harris is actually winning. Let's see if we can pull up the polls here on RCP. PPP just put out a poll. It's I don't know if it's enough to actually consider it. Trump is currently up by 0.8. Sorry. Harris has the latest poll, +1. But you've got a counter poll from Trafalgar showing Trump up 2. So it is still hard. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is. Oh, OK, right. Yeah, this is Trump versus Harris. So we'll see. Trump is currently leading in aggregate by 0.8%, but it is a close race. I'm just going to break it down for you, my friends. I'm going to break it down for you. If Kamala Harris wins, the market will implode. It's just true. And I think a strong reason the market is stuttering right now. The jobs report was bad. Unemployment is up. These are bad signs. But more importantly, when the polls say Kamala Harris is going to win, World War III, economy tanks, get out of the market. That's what people are doing. Now, I'll tell you what freaked me out the most is I saw this tweet that said Kamala Harris has no policy positions on her website. And I said, that cannot be true. So I went to KamalaHarris.com. And, first, when you go to the website, you're greeted with this. With your help, Kamala Harris is ready to win this election. More than ever, we need to unite to defeat Donald Trump. Rush a donation today. Not interested. Close it out. And what say you? Together we can win this. Okay. What are we seeking to? Oh, there's nothing there. Maybe it's the frequently asked questions. Maybe if I go to the frequently asked questions, we'll see. Okay, I donated to Biden for president. What happened to my donation now? As Biden's running mate, Vice President Harris will be taking over the Biden campaign and all funds. That's messed up, by the way. What is the Harris Victory Fund? What are the requirements to vote? Let's see. You're a U.S. citizen. You're 18. How can I donate? What's this? Is it tax deductible? How can I update my contact information? Ain't nothing here about our policies. Okay. Maybe if we meet Kamala Harris, maybe we'll get something there, right? All right. As a daughter of parents who brought her to civil rights marches in a stroller. Now she's running for president, freedom, liberty. Okay. So she mentioned some stuff. Standing up against extremists, defending reproductive freedom, taking on big pharma. That doesn't really explain what her policies or her plans are. Okay, I don't know. Historic record of accomplishment, new jobs. I mean, it's still generic stuff. Nothing's explaining what she intends to do as president. There ain't nothing here. I mean, there's a general sense here of like, make the economy better. We'll do that. We've done that. Gun control or something. Nothing in here explains what her plans are. I got to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely shocked to see this. There is nothing on her website explaining what she wants to do. Now, that being said, I got to be fair. I got to check Donald J. Trump over here and pull up his website and see if this man has anything on his website about his plans. Hey, look at this. There's an Agenda 47 platform. Well, show me your platform, buddy. Wow, look at this. A 20-point process. Seal the border, stop migrant, and it's simple. I mean, is there a better breakdown? To be fair, Donald Trump actually lists out a bunch of things he intends to do. Read more about the Trump Republican platform. Oh wow, a 16-page write-up of his plans, in detail. Wow, look at this. Unleash American energy. Under President Trump, the U.S. became the #1 producer of oil. Don't care about that. I don't want to hear about the past. I like you got the accolade. Republicans will unleash energy production from all sources, including nuclear, to immediately slash inflation and power American homes, cars, and factories with reliable abundance. Okay, Donald Trump has given us a plan. I'm not shocked by any of this. Donald Trump on his website telling you he intends to do things is normal. Kamala Harris has nothing on her website. That kind of freaks me out, man. So I get asked about this the other day. We're hanging out with some of the homies, non-political individuals, just skateboarders and having a good old time, relaxing, taking the day off. And I said, honestly, I have no idea. I mean, this is scary. Look, Kamala Harris earns no votes. Not a single person voted for her, no primary. She's installed by the DNC as their nominee, and she has no policy positions. Ladies and gentlemen, there are two possible scenarios here. This is a trial balloon. I love that phrase, by the way, trial balloon. It's a test to see whether or not we are ready for communist-style dictatorship. I am not being cute. I'm talking about the Chinese communist style of governance, where you have a singular party, choose who's in charge, and the people are just left standing there. If Kamala Harris is actually to win, this is it. They're asking the American people, do you want someone with no goals, no policies, no plans, who was not voted for? She can win. Or Donald Trump, populist, lots of policy positions. Now, the question is, well, I mean, look, if Kamala wins, people voted for her, right? That's the test. Will people vote for someone who was installed into the party without a primary, who has no policy positions, no accolades, and no accomplishments? Can they use cult of personality or just general cult-like behavior to get their nominee in? I'm afraid the answer is yes, my friends. And I got a feeling Kamala's going to win. I don't know. She's not. I mean, look, the market crashed today. If this persists, Trump wins. Trump wins. But the other possibility is that Kamala is a throwaway candidate. And I'm hoping this is the case. Democrats have resigned themselves to the fact that they probably can't win. They don't want to bring any real talent because they would waste it. Gavin Newsom runs and loses. He can't run again. It'll be a weak position. Nah, they need fresh faces. So Kamala, being VP, who's already deeply unpopular, she's their placeholder. The Democrats need a candidate. You can't have no candidate, but you don't want to waste any up-and-coming talent, so send her in. Shapiro, attach him at the hip and watch them both sink. Or maybe there is a shadow campaign. And in this shadow campaign, ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris ends up winning, and you get, for possibly the first time in American history, an installed politician. I mean, actually, to be fair, probably not the first time. I think it was the election of 1876 where a committee decided who the president would be because we wanted to avoid a resurgence of the Civil War. The South and the North were ready to fight again, and they had like a slate of alternate electors, and they're like, guys, we do not want to go back to Civil War. We do not want this. And so they had a committee decision, and they compromised and ultimately decided to determine themselves who the president would be. That's what happened. Well, my friends, I don't know. The market's tanking. The Dow, what's the Dow currently at? What are they showing it? Minus 1,000 as of right now, and just seemingly getting worse and worse. This is absolutely nuts. Oh, look at that Nvidia tumbling. 5%, already down more than 23%. Nancy Pelosi's roiling on that one. NASDAQ craters global market rout. Live updates. I don't know what you should do. I'm not a financial advisor. I can only tell you I've lost a lot of money. But as many people have pointed out, it's only if you sell do you realize your losses. Some people actually want to realize those losses. They'll write them off on their taxes, things like that. So we'll round out that segment. We're going to go to your super chats, ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, the next story that we have lined up, I believe we've got mass rioting in the UK. Absolutely insane stories. UK grappling with social unrest after these stabbings. I reached out to my good friend Carl Benjamin. And I said, what's the real reason for the riots? And he said, UK citizens are second-class citizens. And that's interesting, because I can show you the statements from the Prime Minister. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on. Not the big expert on this one, but I do want to cover the story of mass rioting from anti-immigration sentiment, mostly about the violence. I mean, the people of the UK have greatly tolerated mass migration. And then we'll take a look at the numbers. Did you know, my friends, that London is only 37% native British? Yo, that's wild. Before we get into that story, let's jump over to your super chats and pull in the insights of our dear audience. It is one of the greatest things. I think we have the luxury of having y'all chime in, and I get things wrong, and there's a lot of context we miss. So when you guys super chat and you notice things I don't, that's how we get the story better. David Hopkins, the first super chat, saying, Tim, I've self-published a Friday the 13th fan comic. I'd love to send you a copy. How could I do this? Graveyard Shift. I'll check out your answer when I get up. I always recommend reaching out to Ian, though Ian is currently in Miami and he's gallivanting about doing who knows what. He's pretty easy. He's a lot easier to get in touch with, and he enjoys the conversation. So follow Ian Crossland on X, and then he's more likely to respond and then relay the information. John Black says, howdy, y'all. F612. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Interesting. All right. Bailey Dingley says everything's going down the proverbial crapper. And the literal one. John Burt says, shout out to the Discord and graphene. Let's go. Right on. Uncle Sam says, off topic. Why Dem cities lower or drop charges? Rioting equals felony, loss of voting rights. Misdemeanors for left, felonies for the right. Now it makes sense. Yep. Yeah, in the UK story we're going to pull up, we got these two videos of, what's his name, Keir Starmer, Prime Minister. During the George Floyd riots, he's like, oh, we're greatly offended by the violence against you minorities. And that was during the George Floyd riots. And then in the British riots now, he's like, you will regret this. We will come for you. And oh, okay. All right. DSCU and SN discussion. Democrats want to tax unrealized gains. Imagine having paid taxes twice, income and then unrealized gains on all the money you just lost. That's the problem with wealth tax. These people are psychotic. The wealth tax makes no sense. Imagine you have $100,000. You invest in a stock. Okay, it's your 401k, it's whatever. 5 years later, it's now up to 200 and you've not touched it. And you're like, man, my retirement, it's going really well. It's up. The Democrats then say, we want you to pay us 7% on that unrealized gain. And you're like, ugh, how do I do that? Well, you got to sell. You're going to have to sell some of that and pay up. So you sell a portion to pay. And it's a hefty penny. Then the market tanks. And now you've lost those gains. Now it drops back down to 80s to where it was before, and now you're less than where you started. How could you pay tax on unrealized gains? That's psychotic. The McGlone Code says, I am a woman. That was the Imam Khalif. After one of the fights, the press went to talk to the individual. Well, be careful, right? Khalif said, I am a woman. Well, apparently the issue is with this story, which we will pull up later on, about an hour or so. We'll probably get to that story. The individual failed a gender test, and the World Boxing Championship organization was like, no, like, we're telling you this is a guy. Same thing with Lin Yu Ting. They're both, I believe, undefeated as they advance. They are from two different weight classes. They will not fight each other. There is misinformation going around. Warpig says, read War is a Racket by Major General Smedley Butler, 2 times Medal of Honor recipient and whistleblower on the business plot, attempted U.S. presidential coup in 1933, 100% patriot. It's true. The business plot was crazy. Big bankers and business heads were trying to overthrow the government, install a fascist dictatorship. Who's to say they didn't? Cody Justin Fenton says crypto and internet companies in financial freefall, possibly to destroy the free parts of the internet via big company bailout. Maybe you don't know. CC says, love the Kamala is brat commentary. Go look up brat on Urban Dictionary. I have to say, I agree. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. All right, we'll grab a couple more and then we'll jump to the story about the UK. Free Men Die Free says, told you so. Ron Paul, the happenings. Yep. Warpig says, if you're between 18 and 40, I hope you're doing PT. You're going to need it for the trenches. You know what, man? I gotta tell you guys, I gotta mention this, because I love fad diets and exercise. I have not skated so much since this past week. It is nuts. Skated every single day of the week, Sunday to Saturday, and on Saturday twice, 2 different sessions, burning like 1,500 each session, just massive. I used to skate like 8 hours a day. Seriously, I'd wake up, I'd skate for 8 hours, and gotten older, I've only been doing a couple hours a day, and maybe only like 3 or 4 times a week, actually. Well, this past week, I started exercising a lot more, and it was strenuous, to say the least. So I was talking to my good friend ChatGPT about getting older and wanting to maximize strength, avoid muscle degradation. And it actually recommended ketogenic diet, which was interesting because I was doing it for a couple of years and then stopped. Got a personal trainer, switched back to standard. I got to tell you, I'm back on keto as of this morning, and I feel like $1 million. It's nuts. I'm back on it because the problem I was having, which was really frustrating me, is the need to eat sugar all the time. I don't like it. When I was doing keto for 2 years, I just felt like I had energy 24/7. High fat diet, high protein, low carb, and I felt fantastic. Once I switched back with this personal trainer to doing high carb, lower fat, high protein, it's like I got to eat every hour. And it's just, I don't know, not enjoyable. I know it's probably funny because people are like, yeah, Tim, you got to eat. And I'm like, no, look, I would eat breakfast, do the show, be tired, eat, and then skate, and then be tired. And then I eat, and then it's like, yeah, that's normal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, right? Totally fine, totally normal. What I'm saying is I have found that when I was doing keto, I'd eat breakfast and then just feel like I had lightning running through my body 24/7. Just always felt energized and ready to go, and just ate when I had time to eat. And that just works better for my schedule. Today I woke up and I said, yesterday I had mostly meat, avoided a lot of sugars. I did have a little bit, but cut way down. Then today I woke up and I had heavy cream, eggs, espresso, and that was basically my protein shake. So I think I only had like 5 carbs so far, but I had 40 fats and like 30 proteins, and I feel like $1 million. That's just me. So long story short, when World War III starts, if they do decide to call on this 38-year-old man, unfortunately, I'm more fit than many, not than most. Well, actually, probably than most, to be real. That's kind of sad and scary. Hopefully they go for all the bodybuilders first and the guys who are actually substantially more fit. All right, Peter Krylov says, hey, Tim, how much love out of Washington State. If you're going to have a panel on religion, please invite Mike Winger. Check out his channel. He does a lot of Q&A stuff, and I think he explains Christianity very well. We are organizing a Christian theologian, simulist, someone who believes in simulation theory, myself, and then we might have another person. Moral philosophy would be great. We want to do a big discussion on religion. Probably would be great to have Seamus and Ian. We always wanted to bring those guys together to talk about this stuff. Let's jump to this story from CNN. Riots in the UK, the worst seen in years after a stabbing. But the real question is, what is the real motivation behind this? While the media is claiming that it's all misinformation, that they're blaming a UK natural born citizen, and they're claiming it's asylum seekers. That's what they call it, asylum seekers. They're misleading you, as they always do. There's a real reason to what's going on. If you want to understand the sentiment and the reason behind mass rioting, you can't just trust the corporate press. They never going to tell you. When it comes to George Floyd, did they tell you the truth? No, they lied. When it comes to what's happening right now in the UK with these riots, are they telling you the truth? No, they are lying. George Floyd, what happened? A guy who was chewing on a speedball behind the wheel of a car was being arrested for it. He resisted, demanded to be held on the ground. Derek Chauvin shows up after this has already started, kneels on his back and neck area. I try to be careful because I don't really know. It's hard to say for sure. It's on his neck and back a little bit. George Floyd dies. He had a lethal dose of fentanyl in his system and other drugs, norfentanyl, THC. He was chewing on a speedball. What do you expect? They blame Derek Chauvin. He's convicted. We get riots. That's the story. People are upset that he died. They blame Derek Chauvin. Medical report said Chauvin compressing the neck caused this. Another autopsy said it was not the case. You believe what you want to believe. What's happening in the UK right now? They're claiming that after the stabbing of 3 young girls, that people on the right, namely they're lying about Tommy Robinson, stoked the flames of riots, directed them. Mind you, Tommy Robinson is on vacation and he's posting on X for sure. So they're trying to blame him for this. But they're claiming it's misinformation. The guy who stabbed these girls was not an immigrant. That's not true. Hold on there a minute. This was the Taylor Swift dance class stabbing where she actually responded. And the guy was the child of migrants. It has something perhaps to do with Rwandan genocide mentality. Don't know for sure. But the anger here is, I'll tell you, it's the straw on the camel's back. It appears, as an American, on the surface, from what I've read and asked my friends about, who are British, what's currently going on, as well as the statements from people like Carl Benjamin and Tommy Robinson, the anger is when these groups of Muslims, and I'm not saying all Muslims, I'm saying there are literal groups of Muslim men that have been arrested for being part of grooming gangs, and rapes have skyrocketed. These people are not being held to account. You've got a video of Keir Starmer basically saying the George Floyd riots are, he's saying it with empathy and care for why people are angry. But then when the British natives riot, it's, oh, you're awful, you're bad. So the sentiment among the individuals rioting is second-class citizens. They don't want to be second-class. They're tired of inequality. Oh, a hotel that was hosting migrants. I don't know. I don't want to say illegal immigrants because I'm probably wrong. They call them asylum seekers in the UK, but I don't believe that's the right way to say it either. Set on fire. And the reason is, well, the media will tell you it's because they hate migrants and they're racist. And you'll hear from other parts that actually this is where people have been attacking women. But let's start with this. With all that context and all that being said, this is a major, massive story. Let's read the news. Rioters attack hotels used to house asylum seekers amid worst UK disorder in years. Oh, asylum seekers. You know, look, if it's anything like the US, we know they're lying when they say asylum seekers. Rioters set fire in broken hotels used to shelter asylum seekers in northern England on Sunday as the country grapples with the worst social unrest it has seen in years. The violence was triggered by the stabbing of 3 young girls in Southport, northwest England earlier this week. The far right has seized on and spread a wave of disinformation, including false claims the attacker was an immigrant, to mobilize anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant protests. Police say the suspect was born in Britain. You see how they lie. Here's the real story. The child of immigrants, probably not Muslim, attacked young girls. And the concern of many of these British individuals, I'm not talking about the rioters. I'm saying if you go to the pundits, they will tell you, you have incompatible cultures being imported into the UK. Yes, this man, I believe he was 17 years old, was born in the UK to migrant parents and does not hold British values. So when he attacks 3 young girls, killing them, I believe they were killed. Let's make sure I want to get the details right because I'm not as big of well versed on UK politics. Yes. So 3 girls, they were stabbed and killed. It's what we hear similarly with Sweden. And I heard this back in 2017 when I was on the ground in Sweden. Many of the individuals that were rioting and causing violence were Swedish, born in Sweden. I don't know that they actually have birthrights. I don't know that they do. But these are people born in Sweden. But they came from a culture that was very different. Whether you want to call that incompatible or otherwise, whatever. The fact is, this young man murdered 3 young girls. He did not like what they did. He did not view the world. They viewed the world. And this leads to anger. Footage geolocated by CNN shows protesters on Sunday vandalizing and setting ablaze 2 Holiday Inns in northern England. One in Tamworth, which had previously been criticized by a local politician for housing asylum seekers, and another in Rotherham. In Tamworth, protesters threw projectiles, smashed windows, and started fires, injuring 1 police officer, according to local authorities. Meanwhile, in Rotherham, protesters threw wooden planks, used fire extinguishers against officers, set fire to objects near the hotel, and smashed windows to gain entry to the building. Okay, let me slow down. I'm not the expert on this. I recommend you guys follow the Lotus Eaters podcast, Carl Benjamin and the crew. This is their territory. They know it infinitely better than I do. I don't have all the details, and You go watch Carl Benjamin, you watch Lotus Eaters, and they're going to basically break down for you why we're seeing these riots. Ian Miles Chong has this video. The Holiday Inn in Tamworth, one of the hotels housing migrants in the UK, has been set on fire as police stand back. And then let's see, we have a bit more. So this is Media Lies. I want to get to this is absolutely wild. Look at this. Andy No posting. Middlesbrough, North Yorkshire, England. A mob of the Muslim patrol carry melee weapons as they assault white people in the streets who are accused of being linked to the earlier anti-mass migration protest. The clashes have led to cars being set on fire and buildings smashed up. Here's my general understanding. You've got this stabbing. Taylor Swift actually spoke up on this one. In response to this, protesters march. In response to the protests, which there was some violence, Muslim groups come out to protest, to fight violently against many of these white individuals. So let me see if, so did I already have that one pulled up? I'll pull that one for a second. I got to sort through this stuff. You've got a huge mob descending in Bolton City Center. I mean, things are getting actually absolutely nuts in here. Tommy Robinson's statement. I should have lined these up a little bit better. Here we go. Middlesbrough earlier, a 70-year-old man went outside his local pub for a smoke and was violently attacked by a mob of armed Muslims. Apparently sustained a stab wound, though I can't confirm that. Shocking scenes. So what we're seeing in response to the protests, Muslim groups have gone out countering with violence, which has led to even greater riots. The Hodge twins tweeted this. This is what is happening in the UK right now. Government opens the borders and lets in illegal aliens. Illegals start committing violent crime, murder, rape, etc. in British communities. Government does nothing to stop the criminal illegals. British citizens take matters into their own hands and attack the illegals because their government won't do anything. Government declares British citizens that attack illegals are domestic terrorists and start raiding their homes and arresting them for protecting their communities. Sound familiar? Coming soon to the U.S. Now, here's a video of what they're calling two-tier Keir. This is a video, and they could have done it better. They play both videos at the exact same time, which it's not so easy to understand. But basically on the left, it says when minorities riot, and the right, when British whites riot.
Be in no doubt,
I was shocked.
Those that have participated in this violence,
the killing of George Floyd,
will face the full
and the
force
response
of the law.
President Trump,
the police
and the US
will be
authorities
making arrests.
to the peaceful
individuals will be
to
held
people
on
rightly
remand.
demanding justice.
Charges will follow,
has been an affront to
and
humanity.
convictions will
The last
follow.
week has shone a
I
spotlight
guarantee
on the racism,
you will regret taking part in this disorder,
and injustice
whether directly
experienced
or
by
those whipping
from
up
black
this
and
action
minority ethnic
online
communities
and then
in the
running
US,
away themselves.
in the UK,
This is not
across
protest.
the world.
It is
Martin
organised,
Luther King
violent
said,
thuggery.
injustice anywhere
And it has no
is a
place
threat to justice.
on our...
So there you basically go. I mean, it is frustrating that it's a great video. I'd like to actually see them both, but not overlapping each other, which is a bit frustrating. Probably could find it. I don't know. This is the one that I was able to see. And basically on the left, he's saying, I was shocked and angered by the killing of George Floyd. And this is at the George Floyd riots, which were for some reason happening in Europe. And then in the UK, he says, you will regret this. So I reached out to Carl Benjamin. I asked him exactly what's going on. He basically is saying that Starmer is saying that he's going to protect the Muslim migrants and he's going to oppress the right. The riots are still ongoing. This is absolutely wild to see all this stuff happening. I got to tell you. Here's the report from The Independent, which, of course, you'll find very humorous. Tommy Robinson stokes far-right riots on social media from outside the UK. They won't leave this guy alone. Dude, Tommy Robinson has an open invite to come on Timcast IRL, or probably better yet, the Culture War. And maybe what we need to do with Tommy is make an exception and do a Culture War episode with him remotely. Why? He can't come to the U.S. We have actually discussed internally, how can we get to Europe to actually meet up with Tommy to discuss what's going on? Not possible, unfortunately. With the scheduling, I'd be waking up at 2 a.m. to try and, if I was in Europe and then doing IRL from Europe, it's just, we can't do it. It just can't be done. Not, I don't know, maybe if we had more money and we had the resources to get like a UK studio set up but timing matters and it would be a ridiculous schedule. But, If there's one person I'd absolutely love to have on the culture war more than anybody else, it'd definitely be Tommy Robinson. They have vilified this guy. They have lied about this guy. It is insane how much they lie about this guy, because I watch his videos. I hear what he has to say, and then they lie about him. And it is the weirdest thing imaginable. It's evil. It's corrupt. Now, I talked to the Lotus Eaters, Carl Benjamin. Check out the Culture War podcast on Tenet Media on YouTube. We did an episode on liberalism. The reason I recommend this, talking about post-liberalism and moral philosophy, absolutely fantastic conversation. But the subject of Tommy Robinson came up, and Carl Benjamin notes that there are other prominent mainstream politicians that say the exact same thing as Tommy, and there's no problem. But Tommy Robinson represents the working class. He speaks like he's working class. He is trusted by the working class, and that him speaking up and calling out mass migration and crime would actually rally people. So, as of right now, let me see what we have here. TheTimes.com. I'm on holiday, not on the run, says Tommy Robinson. Apparently, the story was that he fled the country, and Tommy's like, dude, I'm on vacation with my family. I'll give you the breakdown. Tommy Robinson is upset over the crime. He's certainly tweeting quite a bit about it. He's allowed to. But the reason why I have this video pulled up, I want to play this clip for you right away before we read what The Independent has to say about Tommy Robinson.
They are building me up as the face of violence, even though every video I've made, they've had 2 million, 3 million, 4 million views. Each time I've talked to protesters going out on the streets, I've appealed for calm, said that please don't commit violence. Do not attack individual police officers, because even though the police are oppressing us, we in Britain have been oppressed for decades by our own police force. They treat us totally different to how they treat the Muslim community, and the whole country and the whole world now know it. Yeah. So their option is to build me up as the face of it. All the riots are going on, all the trouble's going on, and then they want me to be the fool guy. All I've done is act as a journalist, and as a responsible journalist, I investigate everything I put out. I appealed for calm in all these demonstrations. And the last 2 events I've held, Alex, have had over 130,000 people involved and no arrests, no violence, no trouble, because we planned them, okay? What you're seeing now is not planned. It's like a rudderless ship. It is chaos in every town and city. And what Keir Starmer has done is pour petrol on the fire. They're talking about me stoking up. They're saying I'm stoking up. All I'm sharing is what's happening in each town and city and explaining why the British public are angry and giving them the reason why they're doing it. And
I would say mostly true, like 99%. He's also sharing sentiment from individuals and how they feel on top of that. Suffice it to say, Tommy Robinson is not stoking violence. He is sharing what's going on, and people are upset about what's going on. So I guess the only reason I'm saying like 99% true is like, obviously highlighting the sentiment of people contributes to the greater narrative. I don't blame Tommy for that. And I don't mean to imply that he's lying or anything like that. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it's probably unfair to say. I don't see him as having anything to do with this just because he's posting that it's and there's injustice and there's bad things. What they're trying to claim is by simply saying, here's how people feel and here's what's happening, he's fanning the flames, he's stoking the fire. That is absolutely unfair.
Talking about it whilst condemning the violence at the same time. Now, what Keir Starmer's done and what their government's policy is failed to listen. They could have come out and said, like they've done with Black Lives Matter, okay? They could have come out and said, we fully understand your fears. We understand your anger. We need to work together as a country to solve this. They didn't. They come out, they arrested nans, they arrested mums, they beat and threw English women on the floor. They tried to crush anyone standing up to talk about fears for their children. That's what they've done. And they labelled every single person involved in any of these protests as far right.
So also shout out to Alex Jones for hosting an interview with Tommy Robinson. It's a lot longer. He's got it posted on X if you want to watch the full breakdown, which Tommy's going to give you a much better breakdown than I can give you here on this short news show. The story kicking everything off is this one. I have this from E! Online. 17-year-old boy charged with murder of 3 kids after stabbing at Taylor Swift-themed event in England. Alex Rudakubana, 17, has been charged with murder after 3 girls died and several other people were injured in a stabbing at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in England. We have this from The Independent. They say Tommy Robinson has been accused of stoking far-right riots following the Southport knife attack from afar after he left the UK last week. The High Court was told on Monday that anti-Islam activists whose real name, and they always do this, I don't need to, he's Tommy Robinson, had left the country after being released on unconditional bail following his arrest in Kent in the previous weekend. A fresh warrant was issued for the English Defence League founder's arrest after he did not attend a scheduled hearing in a contempt court case. But in the days since, Robinson has been regularly posting with the ongoing wave of disorder on social media. The 41-year-old has been publishing running commentary and videos documenting the riots, describing the disorder as a result of legitimate concerns and calling for mass deportations. It's just absolutely fascinating that you could go online and be like, a thing is happening, here's a solution, and they're like, it's your fault people are violent, especially when he's saying, don't be violent. Now, I got to tell you, Tommy, I've seen the posts. I think if Tommy goes back to the UK, they're going to lock him up forever. And they already tortured this guy. It is psychotic and terrifying what they have done to this guy. There was a period where he was in prison. He wasn't being fed properly. He came out. He lost a bunch of weight. Absolutely terrifying. If he goes back to the UK, I'd say game over for him. Game over. The Times says Tommy Robinson has denied claims he fled the UK after a high court judge issued a warrant for his arrest. Robinson, and they always do this, whose real name is, because they want to dox him. They want you to try and find out where his family is. They posted where his family was, even though he was on vacation. They hate this guy, man. They say he told CNN News 18, an Indian language news channel, that he adopted the pseudonym Tommy Robinson because people wanted to murder him. So basically, he's denying having fled. A high court judge issued an arrest warrant for Robinson last month, and he's due to attend a full contempt hearing in London. The case is around an alleged breach of an injunction forbidding him from repeating lies about Jamal Hijazi, a teenage Syrian refugee in 2018. In 2021, Hijazi won a $100,000 damages after a defamation case against Robinson, who had falsely accused him of attacking other pupils at school. However, the activist repeated the claims in a film, which he recently broadcast at a mass rally of his followers in Trafalgar Square in London. Robinson said, I haven't fled the UK. I'm on holiday with my children. That was planned. I never received any court documentation summoning me to court. I am not on bail to attend court. There was a process the court has to go to. The process is not to give information to far-left organizations. Robinson's exact whereabouts are unclear, and I don't need to read his location. That's insane. It's Summer of Love UK edition, I guess. I don't fear exactly what's happening in the UK happening in the United States because we're much bigger than the UK. And I certainly see similar sentiment, though. But it'll be different. It'll be very different. With London, 37% of London is native-born British. And, if what's interesting is we're getting to this point where this man who murdered these 3 young girls, they're saying they leave this stuff out. They leave this stuff out, like the UK. Police say the suspect was born in Britain. They don't tell you that he was the child of migrants, and that is a factor that is being considered by many of these people who are rioting or who are upset about what's going on in this country. I went to Sweden in 2017. Many of you watching may have seen this. Many of you may have not. They called it the Summer of Love. I'm sorry. It wasn't the Summer of Love. It was the no-go zones. The Summer of Love was 2020. I don't know why I made that mistake. It was the no-go zones. It was Last Night in Sweden. That's what it was called. Last Night in Sweden. And so I went there. We were getting reports that there was mass violence, cars were being burned, rioters, and it was these Muslim protesters, these Muslim migrants. Not true. What it turns out, why people were upset, why the sentiment had come to Sweden, is that you had the children of migrants from Somalia. They had come to Sweden a long time ago. And like what we're seeing with the UK, this is important. Small country, small population, large urban center, and the government allowed mass migration into hyper-concentrated areas. In Sweden, you have a massive migrant population in Malmö. You had a massive migrant population in Stockholm and even in Södertälje. And I'm forgetting the name of the other city. I'm forgetting. Let me pull this up because this one's actually important because we went to all of these cities, and let's pull up the map here. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. It's an obvious name. I can't. Where is it? I don't know enough about Sweden. What's the name of that city? We went to Uppsala. Yeah. And maybe it was Uppsala. I think that's where it might have been. I thought it was a different name. But we went there, and we had found that at all of these places, the crime that was being experienced was not coming from native-born Swedes of Swedish descent. It was coming from the children of migrants. So when videos would come out showing someone who was clearly not native-born Swedish because they were not ethnically Swedish, the videos would come out and say migrants, because the implication was these people were not from Sweden. What we learned, much of the violence, the overwhelming majority, from protests, rioting, anti-police behavior, was the children of Somali migrants. When the families had moved to Sweden in the 90s, they placed them in city centers and created enclaves. They admitted this was a problem. When I was there, they said the new program is to place migrants in, like, spread out and not let them choose where to go so that they can integrate more properly and that they're not just hyper-concentrated. In Rinkeby and Rosengard and Rinkeby were two areas which were good examples of this. When we went to, I think it was Rinkeby, we were actually told by police we would be attacked if we did not leave immediately. The media then lied about everything. The police then lied about everything, and we filmed it happening. They followed us out to our car. They told us they would. I called it an escort. They denied it was an escort. And I'm like, well, call it whatever you want. The police warned us that if we stayed, they could start attacking us, and the cops will be unable to stop 50 people throwing stones. I said, should we leave? And they said, yes. And then I said, will you follow us out? They said, yes. Okay. Filmed them following me out. The media then reported it never happened. I lied, and and it was a coincidence. Yeah. Here's the reality. These young men did not view themselves as Swedish, did not have any connection to Swedish culture or history, and so the police did not represent them. They did not feel the police were part of their community, and so they just looked at them as guys with guns coming to their house. They didn't tolerate it. That is very much what you see happening here. In the UK, in London, 37% native British are the minority to an extreme degree in their own capital city. So you end up with this degree of violence, and people don't want to be there. And then because it's majority minority, which sounds paradoxical, the government is going to defend the larger bloc because they will. This is power politics, my friends. Please understand, and I hope you get this because it happens in America too. When you have a riot outside someone's house, a protest outside someone's house, Black Lives Matter, for example, because this happened, the police are going to show up and they're going to say, do we go to war with the rioters, which we can't handle, or do we just arrest the innocent guy they're protesting? They will arrest the innocent guy. That's you. If you are in your home and you put up a sign saying F Black Lives Matter, and a Gadsden flag, and they show up to your house protesting, there's a greater chance the police will arrest you in your own home. Why? Power politics is all that matters. The police are going to say, look, if we try to stop this riot, we'll get more riots. If we arrest these people, they'll film it, they'll make propaganda, more people will riot. If we arrest the homeowner, other homeowners will sit down and shut up and cower. And that's the reality of everything everywhere in the world. So in London, in the UK, as you get these violent populations, I'm not talking about all migrants being violent. I'm saying when you get a population of people, however small it may be, maybe 500, maybe 1,000, whatever. I'm saying when you get groups that are willing to engage in violence, the police say, if we go and arrest these gangs, you'll get more gangs. So don't do it. Tell them we're sorry and ask them to leave us alone. But you know what? They don't believe that these riots that are going on right now will persist. They believe the white native-born English will back down and will stop. And when they do, they will go and arrest them all and make an example. But when it is the more violent, when it's the other groups that are more violent, why? Because in many places in the UK, the native population is smaller. So the question is this: if we allow the white British to riot in these places, because it's not all happening in London, what will happen? These minority groups will also begin rioting, and we can't stop it. What if we arrest the minority groups? Then you're going to see places like London, which is 63% non-native born British, have a higher propensity for riots because the majority population will not tolerate being arrested for protesting and rioting over what they believe in. So they target the minorities. It is a cost-benefit analysis. And that's what happens with multiculturalism when you don't have a homogenized culture. And there are two distinct worldviews at odds with each other. That can and will happen in the United States. I will stress, I'm not an expert on UK politics. I recommend you watch the interview from Alex Jones and Tommy Robinson. I think, with all due respect to Tommy, Carl Benjamin's probably the better source that I would choose. No disrespect. Carl's a friend. He gives nice, calm, reasoned, passionate rhetoric, probably completely aligned with what Tommy Robinson is saying. So, I recommend watching you both. I'm just saying, Tommy, sorry. I lean towards Carl, but with all due respect, the media is lying about what Tommy is saying, and I have tremendous respect for Tommy. And it's ridiculous lies. They're going to call him a white supremacist, and I tell you what really pisses me off, and the reason why I like Tommy, because when I've seen what he said, I'm like, this guy's not a racist. This guy's not a white supremacist. This guy's not talking about any of that stuff. This guy's not anti-Muslim. He's anti-violence. He's anti-fundamentalist. He's actually saying a lot of reasoned, normal things, but they hate him and they torture him. It's nuts. Look, I'm not going to pretend to be a big fan of Tommy. I don't know him. I don't follow his work. I'm just saying from the stuff I've seen, like the video with Alex, be peaceful. Please don't engage in violence. I'm like, yeah, what's he doing wrong? But I'll wrap this segment up there. There's still more to come because this is ongoing. So we'll have more tonight. Timcast IRL. In the meantime, the next segment will be coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. 4 p.m. on this channel. This one's going to be a doozy with RFK Jr.'s weird story. Stick around. Smash the like button. Follow me on X at Timcast and Instagram at Timcast. And we'll see you all then. For everybody else watching live, let's go to Super Chats. Let's see what we got, gentlemen, in the old Super Chat department. Richard Slammer says, you know that you could ask the Lotus Eaters and Carl for a favor for the use of their studios or rent time appointment at their studios. They would help you. Indeed, it's absolutely what we considered to do a UK trip. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. I would not be surprised if we got to the border of the UK and they turned me away, especially considering I defend Tommy. But, maybe it's visa on entry. I have to imagine it'll probably be fine. Here's the challenge, mostly. Flying on the weekend, and then I would have to keep an Eastern time schedule in the UK. Oh, it's so brutal. Our guests would too. So this would mean that I'd be waking up at 2 a.m. to get ready to go live for this show at 5 a.m., to be done by 7 a.m. Maybe then I can go back to bed or something. And then Timcast IRL would be around 3 p.m. Might actually be a lot easier for a lot of individuals who would appear on the show. We could easily line up a week of UK guests, which would be really fantastic. And because of the schedule, it may actually work pretty well because I don't think the Lotus Eaters are going to be live at 5 a.m. UK time or 3 p.m. But I haven't talked to him about it. We just discussed it. It is certainly a possibility, but it would be very, very, very difficult. So the other question is, would Tommy just get arrested the moment he comes back to the UK? Femer says, it's okay to be white and proud of your nation. Indeed, it is. Look, I understand the simple argument of not liking the idea of someone saying white pride or whatever, because you'd probably be more like Irish, British, German, although someone yelling German pride might cause problems for them, or Austrian. I think it is absolutely imperative for you to take pride in your ancestry, your peoples, the shoulders of giants for which you stand upon. I think it is an absurdity that you can say Asian pride or right. I'm part Asian. Let me tell you, my friends, because everybody jokes, oh, Tim Pool's mixed race or whatever, because I bring it up periodically. This is an important point with wokeness, and there's a reason why when I do bring it up, I bring it up. Recently at the skate park nearby, because of this controversy around me trying to invest in my own town for skateboarding, the left isn't spreading lies about me. And one of the lies was that we banned LGBTQ people from the park, which is an absolute lie. We banned nobody. We've only repaired things. An absurdity. Well, apparently, there was one woman who was at the Hagerstown skate park after I had left, and they were saying things like, he's going to trespass us and he's going to kick us out. Although they admitted they are the ones who actually vandalized and destroyed parts of the skate park, which is nuts. We had to pay to fix. And, one of our people were down there skating because I was there as well. Our crew was there. And this woman goes, There's too many white men owning property. To which one of our crew skaters said, Tim's Korean. And it was like dial tone. Brrr, like, this is the paradox. When I do things they don't like, they call me white. During Occupy Wall Street, when they liked what I was saying, they were like, what a perfect example of what's wrong with this country. You know, you're a smart guy and hardworking. And, you know, look at you. Here you are alongside us protesting the machine. And you're a mixed race guy and they're going to hold you back, blah, blah, blah. And then a week later, after I got a bunch of attention in the press, Tim Pool's white, born rich. When they liked me, I was born poor, mixed race. And as soon as I found success, they said, I'm white and I was born rich. You see how the game, that's the game they play. What I will tell you this for the sentiment about the UK and all that stuff, absolutely hilarious that I am of white and Asian descent, and the Asian part, I'm actually part Japanese, part Korean. Didn't even know I was part Japanese until like a couple years ago because we didn't do DNA tests or anything like that. My mom found out I'm indeed 5% Japanese. I don't think it makes sense for me to say Asian pride or something like that. To be proud of being Asian, what does that even mean? But hold on. It's politically correct to say you have Asian pride. If that's the same regard as white pride, then I should be saying Korean or Japanese, right? They tell white people not to be proud of being white because you should be proud of being Irish or Italian. I can generally understand that they're very different cultures, like the Irish and the British. Not too much friends. Mostly it was the Protestants and the Catholics, don't get me wrong. But I mean like the English and the French and all that stuff. They're very different cultures with very different traditions. So I do understand that. But let's just be real. On the surface, it's really just anti-white. They don't like white people. They just plumb don't. And that's what you see here reflected with modern politics from woke people. All right, Undead R says, remind everyone that Kamala is the AI czar and doesn't even know what the cloud is. Oof. I want to get ready for the old RFK story. Uh-oh, what's this? Is it gone? Hey, there we go. Okay. We'll get ready for the RFK Jr. story as I read the next couple super chats. This story blew my mind. Dude, Robert, what are you doing? This is nuts. All right, let's grab some super chats here. Richard Slammer says, you could ask the Lotus Eaters. I'm sorry, I read that one. Indeed. Yeah, it's just like waking up at 2 a.m. I'd have to go to bed. What would my bedtime be then? 6 p.m. Like, we would, I go to bed around midnight. We wrap Timcast IRL with the after show around 11 p.m. And then I'm off to bed. And so I'm in bed, getting ready, winding down, and I'm asleep usually around midnight. And then I wake up at around 7 or so. I try to get as much sleep as I can these days. I didn't used to. I used to be like, nah, it's fine. I can get a 6. And it was fine. But the health improvements, I'm tracking my health and fitness, and it's like, wow. Massive boost in every way by adding that sleep. The issue was I would fall asleep when I'd fall asleep. If I got tired, I'd go to sleep. And then I'd wake up when I woke up. Didn't need an alarm or nothing. However, now what I'm doing is I'm shutting everything down and forcing myself to lay down and make myself tired, which has dramatically improved health. I just figured, listen to my body, if it's like 12:30, 12:45 and I'm getting tired, I'll fall asleep. And then I wake up at 7:30 sometimes. What's the big deal? Who cares? I wake up when I wake up. I sleep when I sleep. Well, I decided I'm going to try and maximize my sleep. So now once the show wraps, I get in bed and we're shutting it down. And I fall asleep pretty quickly. And then I wake up around the same time and I've been feeling a lot better. All right. Legendary A says, I'm a union electrician. I've never seen such a lack of work in my career. We're terrified of being laid off because it's a minimum of 8 months without work. Under Trump, we were inundated with work. I got to tell you, man, I can see it. One of the reasons we launched the membership program was because I could see it. And for all the things I get wrong, there are a lot of things I get right. Let me tell you this. After the election, I said we made a mistake of not having the membership program set up in advance. We should have focused on that right away. But we were doing so well off sponsorships. The ad rates were so tremendous under Donald Trump that as we're launching this show and the and IRL and all that, it was a windfall, man. Ad rates were just tremendous. Now, don't get me wrong. During COVID, viewership was massive. But with ad rates being lower, it kind of balanced themselves out. Still, under the Trump administration, YouTube numbers, everything was really good. My views have stabilized higher than before the COVID, with the lockdown, viewership skyrocketed across the board for everybody. So my numbers are better than the COVID, than pre-COVID era, but you can't really, like the COVID numbers, we were getting like 1.5 million views per night on IRL. Now it's like 600,000, maybe like 600,000. And in an election year. But like with everyone locked down, they had nothing else to do. Everybody was watching. That was the bump everybody saw. And so I imagine we've seen audience rotation and things like this. But I knew we needed members to make this run so that we can persist. Ad rates are way low. With ads alone, we do not sustain this company. With memberships, we do. And that's it. If you like the show, $10 a month or more, whatever you can give. I tell you this too, take care of yourselves first and foremost. We will figure things out to the best of our abilities, but just make sure you guys are eating. You have your family's being taken care of. I always just say, but for the cost of maybe 2 cups of coffee per month, you can support Timcast.com. That was the old line they'd give us at the nonprofits. If someone was unsure about whether they wanted to donate, tell them it was a cup of coffee, 3 cups of coffee per month. 10 years ago, I'm sorry, this is 14 years ago. 15 years ago, when I was doing the nonprofit stuff, the target goal was $20 memberships. $17 was the average. We do 10 at Timcast.com. Maybe we should aim for 15 or more, but whatever. I don't know, $10. I got to tell you, it's kind of nuts how it's all volume based. And I'll just let you guys in on this. If we were to increase memberships by like $1, that's a tremendous increase per year. You have to imagine, right? You could like $1 per membership could pay for like 2 new staff members, make a new show, who knows? But we don't have nearly as many members as a lot of these other platforms. It's just membership basically fills the gap and sustains us and allows us to keep working. Let's go. Beer Expert says RFK sounds like a fun dude. I gotta admit he does. This story's bonkers, but he sounds like a hoot, though I would never do what he did. Tom's Pants says, much love for these live streams. I want to shout out a new podcast called The Landlocked Surfers. First episode is all about Huxley's Brave New World and why we're in it now. Right on. All right. What have we here? Let's, Epic Gamer. Tim, regarding the previous story, apparently the Asia stock market crashed before the U.S. market 2 days before. How can I explain this to my politically misinformed relatives? I don't get it myself. No idea, man. I think World War III is coming. But if the market takes a big hit, it's good for Trump. We were talking about the market taking a hit last week. When the jobs report came out, I was like, well, you know what this means? It means Donald Trump is, it's good news for Trump. It's bad news for everybody. Yeah. Tell me about the bear, Tim. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. We have the story from NBC News. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. posts video he's saying he put a dead bear in Central Park. I can't believe it. I did not believe it. Someone posted, RFK Jr. admitted to dumping a dead bear in Central Park, illegal. Taking a bicycle to stage a bicycle accident, illegal. He's admitting to all of it. So I'm fairly confident. I could be wrong. It is my wholehearted belief, after checking the laws in the city, the state, the county, the federal government, what he has admitted to here with Roseanne is a crime. It may be beyond the statute of limitations, but based on the combination of factors, it may not. So let me play this clip for you. I'll play the clip for you. I got to be honest, guys. It with all due respect, I mean no disrespect to Robert F. Kennedy. His voice, it is hard to listen to. And again, I mean that with the sincerest of empathy. I'm not trying to be mean to the guy, but some people. So if it gets to a point, I'll paraphrase for you.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley, and I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe really early, like 7, and that woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it. A young bear. So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear, and it was very good condition, and I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear. And So then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We were catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it, so we stayed late. And instead of going back to my home in Westchester, I had to go right to the city because there was a dinner at Peter Luger's Steakhouse. And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car because that would have been bad. So then I thought, at that time, this was the little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lanes, and saw a couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press. And so I thought, I wasn't drinking, of course, but people
I don't believe him.
were drinking with me who thought this was a good idea. And I said, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike. It'll be funny for people. So everybody thought, that's a great idea. So we went and did that, and we thought,
I'm sorry, that's a crazy idea. That's nuts.
it would be amusing for whoever found it or something. The next day, it was like, it was on every television station. It was the front page of every paper, and I turned on the TV, and there was like a mile of yellow tape, and there were 20 cop cars. There were helicopters flying over it. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And then there was some people on TV in Tyvek suits with gloves on lifting up the bike, and they were saying they're going to take this up to Albany to get a fingerprinted. And I was worried because my prints were all over that bike. Luckily, the story died down after a while, and it stayed dead for a decade. And the New Yorker somehow found out about it, and they're going to do a big article on me, and that's one of the articles. So they asked me, the fact checker said, it's going to be a bad story.
I think it's a great story.
Yo, what? RFK Jr. tweets, looking forward to seeing how you spin this one, the New Yorker. Here's the story. Bear found in Central Park was killed by car, officials say. This is from 2014. Someone mentioned that Tatiana Schlossberg is like related to RFK. I don't know that that's true. Is that I'm going to check if that's true, because I'm like, let's see. She is really? She was born Tatiana Celia Kennedy. What? She's the daughter of Carolyn Kennedy. Really? Wow. Her parents were, this is okay. So hold on. So Carolyn Kennedy is the daughter of JFK. And so what? That makes her cousin. So this is his like, it would be his cousin, I guess, who wrote this? I don't know. I don't feel like doing the family math to figure this one out. Okay, that is kind of weird, though. The story is the mystery of the bear cub found dead on Monday in Central Park is one step closer to being solved. It was revealed on Tuesday that she died after being hit by a car. The State Department of Environmental Conservation announced that the results of a necropsy showed the death was caused by blunt forces consistent with a motor vehicle collision. It was a bear, 6 months, 44 pounds. The cause of death was almost, as anyone seemed to know, was almost all anyone seemed to know. The initial details of the case were clear. A woman was walking her dog in Central Park when she noticed a dead bear cub, which was lying under some bushes, partially concealed by an abandoned bicycle. The police department's animal cruelty investigation squad began looking into the bear's death, and the cub was taken to Albany for analysis. But the question remains, how did the bear end up in Central Park? Was there foul play involved? Did she die in the park, or was she dumped there? Others involved in this investigation had little to add. Interesting. Surging black bear population. So we wanted to bring it up back home. So I did a general search, And dumping a dead wild animal is a crime. I think it's a misdemeanor and it's like a $10,000 fine or like a couple weeks in jail. So that's all I found. I could be totally wrong about this. I just want to state, however, perhaps staging a hoax makes it a much more serious crime. So there's federal biohazard laws. There's federal waste management laws. There's federal wildlife management laws. Then there's city, state, and county. And apparently this breaks all of them. You cannot take a dead animal roadkill and dump it in a major urban center and then try to cover it up with a bicycle. That's crazy. Just an absolutely crazy story. So for RFK to be like, looking forward to see how you spin this one, New Yorker, they might just be like, you broke the law? I don't know. Well, here's what NBC wrote. NBC writes, independent presidential candidate RFK acknowledged Sunday, acknowledged, you mean admitted, confessed, that he abandoned a young dead bear in Central Park after he initially planned to skin the cub for meat. Skin the cub for meat? I think he wanted to skin it for its skin, but whatever. Kennedy explained it. Kennedy described the schedule as running late. We get it. He described thinking about a series of bicycle accidents. I wasn't drinking, of course. I don't know if I believe that. We thought it would be amusing for whoever found it or something, Kennedy said, adding the move instead garnered massive media attention. He did not specify when the incident took place. A dead bear was found there. Okay, we get it. I think he just admitted to it. RFK has been one of the wildest political presidential candidates I think we've ever had. I don't know that this story matters, to be completely honest. It certainly makes him sound like a fun guy to hang out with, though I don't recommend dumping dead animals in the park. So let me try something. Let's pull up our good friend ChatGPT. Not that ChatGPT gets everything right, mind you. Let's ask it. Is dumping a dead bear in Central Park illegal? Yes, it is illegal to dump a dead bear in Central Park. The action would likely violate multiple laws, including those related to, which laws would it break? Let's zoom in. Dumping a dead bear in Central Park would likely break several laws, including environmental conservation laws, public health, littering, park regulations, animal cruelty, site-specific code. Come on, give me the actual code. Prove to me. New York State Environmental Conservation Law, ECL, Article 11. ECL 11-0535. No person shall dispose of or attempt to dispose of any carcass or part thereof of any fish, bird, or animal in any manner not authorized by the department. Well, okay. New York City. Code 16-1181. No person shall litter, throw, drop, or otherwise place any dirt, paper, debris, or the rubbish or refuse of any kind whatsoever upon the street, park, public place. Well, okay, that's littering. What is that? Like a $500 fine? New York City Health. The owner or person in control of a dead animal shall not allow it to remain upon a street, public place, or any premise for more than 3 hours after its death. Okay. And then Parks and Recreation. No person shall throw, drop, allow to fall, deposit, or leave any litter. I do like that's, okay, what's the penalty? I bet it's nothing. I bet it's simple fines. That's why he's coming out with this story and acting like it's no big deal. So the first one, it's a $250 fine and 15 days. The next one is $50 to $250. The next one could be $1,000 per offense and $1,000 for the park rules. All right. Does it violate any federal law? Dumping a dead bear in Central Park might violate federal statutes, the Lacey Act. The federal law prohibits trafficking in illegal wildlife, including parts and products. If the bear was obtained illegally or is an endangered or protected species, the law could apply. I don't know that it actually matters to that. Nah. Okay, how about this? What if I staged a bike accident to cover up my involvement? Staging a bike accident to cover up the illegal dumping of a dead bear in Central Park would introduce several additional legal violations, including obstruction of justice, 18 U.S.C. 1512. Tampering with witnesses, victims, or informants is prohibited. I don't know if that would make sense, right? In New York, obstructing a governmental administration. So, okay. Perjury or false statements. Insurance fraud, conspiracy. Yo. Okay. What if this happened 10 years ago? Could I get in trouble? The potential for getting in trouble for an incident that happened 10 years ago depends. Well, I want you to actually tell me. So a 5-year statute on federal crimes, 255. So it looks like the statute of limitations is well beyond. However, that being said, my friends, the question of statute of limitations is actually from the discovery of the crime, not from when the crime took place. It is often misunderstood by many people that they think if someone dies, it's like a murder. 10 years later, you can come out and say, aha, I did it. And that it's too late. The statute of limitations is over. No, it's from the discovery of the crime. So like, then you admit to it. They say, okay, now that we know a crime was committed. So there is the potential, and I'm not a lawyer, that if they believe it was a murder and they investigate it and they can't figure it out, the crime was committed. They know statute of limitations may be up. But I believe it is that they know you did it. So let me ask, define statute of limitations. ChatGPT coming in with the answers, which I got to be honest, most of them are probably wrong anyway. Maximum time after an event within which legal proceedings may be initiated varies by jurisdiction. When the period specified in statute of limitation expires, the claim can only be filed and the party responsible cannot be prosecuted. The purpose is to ensure fairness. So my understanding is that the real issue is that if they know you did it, but they don't want to bring charges for whatever reason, they don't think they can win or they don't have the evidence, and they choose not to, they can't do it after a certain point because that would be unfair. What I can only tell you is it's a weird story, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to leave it there. So, smash. What is someone? FFP says the bear story is a nothing burger, Tim. He clearly said he wanted to skin it for its meat. Against the law, ridiculous. Dude, dumping a dead animal in Central Park is illegal. I think it's only a small fine, like I mentioned, but it's legit a crime. Like either way, it's weird. I think it's a great story, by the way. I think it's funny that he told the story, and he's a wild guy. There you go. Next segment will be coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. And then, of course, Timcast IRL at 8 p.m. So smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, follow me on X at Timcast. And I think we've got this next one. Iman Khalif declares, I am a woman. And we'll talk about the current controversy and betting odds, money to be made as biological males, allegedly, biological males, are going to be fighting in the Olympics for the gold medal, but not against each other. And not quite yet. They still got to defeat some more fighters. But I'll wrap up this one. That next segment will be coming up soon. We'll just grab a couple more of your super chats before we jump into that there next segment, my friends. We only got a couple. Warpig says, Deep State, quick, distract the public from the pending unisex super draft with planned teddy dump. There you go. Namate says, eat more bear, buck, buck. Indeed, this morning, I will stress, as I mentioned, I was deciding I'm going to do keto again. We were doing those Vault energy drinks that are keto based, and I'm going to go see if we have any more of those. Those are delicious. But I did indeed for breakfast have Chicken City brand chicken eggs. They were delicious. Dude, you know what I was thinking about the keto stuff too? Is that I go out to eat, and I love high fat things. I've never been a big carbohydrate desirer. It's just not really my thing. And so when I have like general food, I eat what's available. So it's like I'll eat pizza and burgers. I'll have steak with a roll or dinner roll. Try to eat less processed, but you'll always end up getting some kind of bread or something. Definitely the gluten was messing me up. Don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. People tell me I'm crazy, but I was having joint problems. I was having muscle stiffness. I cut the gluten out. All gone. That's it. Don't know. Don't care. And so when I got off keto, I was doing like rice flour and things like this. But the ups and downs, I'm just not a fan of. And that's just life, I guess. On average, it's like you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner to keep your energy level sustained. When I was doing keto, I'd have breakfast and I'd feel good all day. And then for dinner, I'd have meat and cheese. I go to the restaurant, dude, just give me that sour cream. Give me that avocado. Give me that high fat stuff. I like creamy soups. So I just decided, you know what, man, like the robot told me to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. And we'll see. I've always been a big fan of keto. The only reason I stopped was because I got a personal trainer and he was like, let me break it all down for you and we'll see if this works better for you. And I think it's been fine, but I don't know. I just like eating heavy cream in my coffee and in my eggs. Tastes better. Man, 2 eggs, tablespoon of heavy cream, whipped, scrambled. Then I had a shot of espresso, tablespoon of heavy cream, and it was absolutely delicious. So I'm going to roll with that. That's just me. You do you. Feel great, by the way. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump to this next story. From the New York Post. The alleged biologically male boxer, Iman Khalif, fighting women in the Olympics, declares, "I am a woman." Now, this story broke yesterday morning, and there's some misinformation. I think misinformation is the right word, or is it disinformation? No, disinformation is when you're intentionally misleading. Misinformation is when you get something wrong. The Quartering has a viral tweet to the tune of 30 million views, which is incorrect, and it must be clarified. And so I will clarify that for you as we break down the story. Iman Khalif won and yelled, "I am a woman." Well, Iman Khalif is biologically male, according to the World Boxing Organization or whatever. International Boxing Association. Khalif is identified as female since birth, has always competed in the women's boxing division, and is listed as a woman on her passport. Algeria does not allow people to be trans, nor does Taiwan. So it appears the logical issue may be it's an individual that has presumably some kind of developmental sexual disorder, meaning the person likely has male levels of testosterone, XY chromosomes, internal testes, but something happened with development that resulted in looking female. Now, this is actually a big success for the left, in my opinion. The left, of course, is running their mouth saying, it's a woman, shut up, back off. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Yo, left, this is the argument for you. An individual incorrectly assigned female at birth. Isn't this what you've always talked about? The doctor looked at this person and said, female, but turns out was male and they didn't know. So there was also, I don't know if I have this video pulled up. Caster Semenya was a runner, turned out was male. I could be wrong, but the idea presented in the news was male with internal testes running in women's competition, not realizing. And so, we have this tweet from the Quartering, who wrote, after defeating all the women, 2 biological men will compete for Olympic gold in women's boxing. Okay. You can interpret this a couple different ways. I'm like, okay, on the surface, the assumption for most people is these individuals have already beaten the women and are now going to fight each other for the gold. That is not the case. You could also interpret it as saying, once they defeat all the women, these individuals will then, these 2 biological men will then fight each other for women's gold. Also not the case. I think based on the way the Quartering framed it, he misunderstood what's going on. These individuals are from 2 different weight classes. They will never fight each other. They still have several fights in front of them. So I tweeted this. They are in 2 different weight classes. They still have fights in front of them. Once they defeat the women, they will have already won gold and will never fight each other. So when he says, so here's what I think. The Quartering clearly assumed they were going to fight each other. Why? After defeating all the women, 2 biological men will compete for gold in women's boxing. No. They won't compete for it. Defeating the women gets them the gold. These 2 allegedly biological males, and I say that because I don't know the gender test, but they're reportedly biologically male, failed the gender test, and just don't know better. They will have won. So I posted the next brackets. Lin Yu Ting, Taiwanese boxer, will be fighting Wednesday, August 7th, 3:30 p.m. against Yildiz Karaman, a woman, for the semifinals, the first. And Iman Khalif will be fighting tomorrow at 4:34 p.m. against Ju Suwanafang. I don't know which country that is. And so this is the women's welterweight division for Iman, and Lin Yuting is the women's featherweight. They will never fight each other. I think it's really important. Now, Iman Khalif declares, I am a woman. Briefly after the controversy started, I am a woman, Khalif told reporters in Paris. In her only comments after defeating Hungary's Anna Luka Hamori in 3 rounds to win the semifinals. Since boxing does not have a 3rd place match, Algerian is guaranteed at least bronze. So the way it's going to work now is where they're currently at in the bracket, whoever wins, they're going to fight, and then they're going to fight, and then there may be a fight. So you could end up with bronze at the very least. So This is the bronze medal. The 25-year-old became a lightning rod of controversy after the International Boxing Association said this individual is male. And again, Algeria doesn't recognize trans. So Khalif and Taiwan's Lin Yuting, who also failed IBA gender eligibility test, both failed to medal in Tokyo 3 years ago. Khalif burst into tears after beating Hamori on Saturday after the 48 hours prior were marked with public outcry over her inclusion. All this controversy makes me sad, etc. I mean, it's brutal. It's brutal, right? It's a sad story. But what we're seeing right now is the result of gender ideology. In the past, would there have been no men trying to take female hormones, this would not be a story. Iman Khalif would never get gender tested because there's no gender transition. So the assumption is if you are on your birth certificate and passport female, then there's nothing to question. And they just say it's a manly woman. Because of the gender ideology issue, they begin issuing gender tests to make sure males are not trying to compete as females. Thus, they end up finding DSD individuals who probably look female to a certain degree, but are male. And I will tell you this, for Lin Yuting and for Iman Khalif, they look like guys. They look male. That may be what triggered the gender testing in which they failed. The AP has a story. IOC calls tests that sparked vitriol targeting the boxers impossibly flawed. This, of course, from yesterday as well. Let me zoom out a little bit, make it easier to read. They say International Olympic Committee spokesman Mark Adams, again, vigorously defended Khalif of Algeria and Lin of Taiwan, hammering the sport's now banned governing body, the International Boxing Association, that claimed the fighters failed unspecified eligibility tests for women in competition. I don't know if this is true, but my understanding is that the IOC watches you urinate. I'm not kidding. Again, I need to get clarification from the people I know that have actually been in the Olympics. My understanding is they show up to your house to administer the drug test to make sure you are actually getting drug tested. And they, I've heard, could be wrong, they watch you urinate, which would suggest the IOC is like, that's a woman, you know. The two athletes, but that doesn't mean anything either. Like, I got to be honest, in the weird scenario where that's true, the IOC actually shows up and says, take off your pants and show us your urinate. I mean, there are surgeries. So it's like gender testing would have to be based on DNA and testosterone, I guess. The two athletes were carted off and tested during the 2023 Boxing World Championships because there were suspicions against them. I need hardly say that if we start acting on suspicions against every athlete or whatever, then we go down a very bad route. He rejected the testing in its entirety. There's a whole range of reasons why we won't deal with this. Partly confidentiality, partly medical issues, partly that there was no basis for the test in the first place, and partly data sharing of this is so highly against the rules, international rules. The whole process is flawed, Adams nodded. From the conception of the test to how the test was shared with us, to how the test had become public, is so flawed that it's impossible to engage with. Lin and Khalif have been at the center of a clash over gender identity and regulations in sports as critics have brought up their disqualification last year. The IBA claimed they failed to meet the required necessary eligibility criteria and were found to have competitive advantages over other female competitors. So I think we have some other updates here. Algerian boxer Iman Khalif declines to answer question about testing amid gender controversy. And this is where people start to say, I don't know, man. Why not just answer the question? Why deflect? The Daily Mail. Transgender ex-boxing promoter Kelly Maloney gives her verdict. Let's see, Kelly, 71, who announced she was transitioning in 2014, was previously known as Frank and enjoyed a successful career as a famous boxing promoter. Kelly did say she thinks sports people who are born male should not be allowed to compete in women's sports or be allowed to enter women's spaces until they have undergone gender reassignment surgery. Which brings us to the challenge here. Assuming Iman Khalif and Lin Yuting, who I believe are undefeated right now, were born presenting female but have internal testes and a developmental sexual disorder, genuinely believed they were female their whole lives, didn't know better, then what transition is there to be done? What would you do? Suppress their hormones? I got to tell you, this is actually interesting because in the modern era, this does happen. An individual, and this has happened. I'm not going to act like it's super common, but there are people who are born, they look female. Around puberty age, they start to look a little male. They start to get broader shoulders and thicker muscles. And they go to the doctor. Again, I'm not going to call anybody out, but you can read stories about this. The doctor then says, for a variety of reasons, you're either overproducing testosterone or you're actually biologically male. So what do? They put them on testosterone suppressors and female hormones. So for certain individuals who have, there's a condition, I forgot what it's called. Maybe it's polycystic ovarian syndrome, I think. Something happens where they start producing too much testosterone, even though they're female. And this starts making them go through a male puberty. But they are literally female with ovaries. And so I think that's the case. I don't know enough about this. They'll be prescribed drugs to balance this out. Were it not for the drugs, they would actually just grow facial hair and become guys. What do? Do you tell these actual women they're not allowed to compete? Are they removed? I mean, hey, I don't have all the answers for you. What I can tell you is if an individual like this was born today and started developing male and went to the doctor might actually be like, you're biologically male. And then they would have to make that decision. There was actually, I think, credited an interview with this person who was born intersex. And that was the condition they had, was that they were born male, but like, you're not going to go through male puberty. Testosterone's not going to work on you. So they recommended, as you present female and have been growing up female already, just take the drugs to be female. What if that's what these individuals did? Again, my friends, I ain't going to pretend to have any of the answers. But I will tell you this. Considering Algeria and Taiwan, if these are biologically male, then you can't allow them to box females. Sorry. I'm not trying to be mean to them, you know. The boxer declined to answer, reportedly saying she didn't want to talk about it. The failed gender test, the 2023 Boxing Association Women's World Championship, have been the source of controversy. Because of it, Khalif implored fans to stop the bullying. I sent a message to all the people of the world to uphold the Olympic principles and the Olympic Charter to refrain from bullying all athletes because this has effects, massive effects. It can destroy people. It can kill people's thoughts, spirit, and mind. It can divide people. And because of that, I asked them to refrain from bullying. Khalif declared after a win in the quarterfinals, I am a woman, and is guaranteed at least a bronze medal. Here's the challenge. If this individual was born, like Algeria doesn't allow trans, right? They won't change your passport or birth certificate. So everybody, family, Khalif, everyone said this person's female. Because of the gender ideology controversy, takes a gender test, male. What does that mean? Is your life over now? It's tough. I got to be honest. All the training you've done, everything you've done to try to be a boxer, over. You're an Olympic athlete. You're a boxer in your country, over. I got to be honest. I do believe that functionally, Iman Khalif and Lin Yuting are they're not going to be able to fight internationally. This massive controversy will basically destroy their lives. It feels bad, man. But I really do think that if that is the case, and we don't know that it is, but if that is the case, you still don't let males box women. We have to have a standard. And because of gender ideology, if we now have to go into this whole like DNA, gender testing, and testosterone stuff, and it outs individuals like this who didn't even know themselves, if that's the case, I say sorry. There has to be a standard. I don't think the Olympic Games was supposed to be people with developmental sexual disorders, again, no disrespect, boxing biological females. It's supposed to be female against female, male against male. Those are the categories. If someone is male, they don't just get to fight women because of a disorder. I'm sorry. And so it's tough. Sorry to say, my friends. I try to be empathetic. I try to be reasonable. And I think this is the reasoned approach. So I will wrap up the segment there. But we're still live for a few minutes, so we'll grab your super chats for those that are watching live. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel. Follow me on X at Timcast. Become a member at Timcast.com. Timcast IRL is coming up next at 8 p.m., and we will see you all then. For those that are watching, should we have any more super chats, we'll get through them, but it seems there's only very few, so I won't prattle on if need not. But get your super chats now because we do have 10 more minutes where I can be hanging out with you and answering any questions. And I will read some basic chats as well. But we'll grab some super chats here. Nick C says, I think RFK is lying. It is my opinion he fought the bear and hit it so hard that it caused the same amount of damage as a car crash. Agreed. I actually think he might have hit the bear himself. Like, he was driving, hit the bear. They said, I don't know, keep it. He laughed. He's with his buddies. He does. I also think he was probably drinking. But it's been so long. I guess in the end, if the actual criminal penalties are just so minimal, nothing's going to happen with it. Probably nothing happens. And it was smart of him to get in front of the story. Crossfire says the world needs to know no policies on Kamala's website. She's changed policies to align with Trump on big issues. No interview or answer is huge deal. Dude, I will stress this to all of you. Please tell everyone. She's not stated any official positions. She's not giving interviews. She won't debate Trump, and she has nothing on her website. Crazy. Adam Smith says, what's the bet Brittany Griner has the same condition? That she has XY chromosomes, internal testes, but has female bits. I think it's probably very likely. Very likely. Juan Carlos Prado, I'm starting keto today for the same me reason. Yeah. I don't know. I started doing keto after I got COVID. This is 2021, I think it was. And it was bad. And so after the monoclonal antibodies and all that stuff, I was finally like healing, having like barely eaten as it was. And I was dipping salami in cheese, dinner of champions. And then I realized, I was like, I didn't really eat anything today. All I had was protein and fat. I'm just not going to eat sugar anymore. And that was just it, like literally just on a whim. Here's what happened. I was 200 pounds. And within a month, I dropped to 180. And then maybe not a month, maybe like a month and a half, probably dramatic. I was also at the time skating every day, several hours, intense VO2 max heart rate. And I felt like $1 million. I don't know. So then 2 years of this, and I was down to 168. And I was just like, whatever. I'll now go up and start doing a little bit of carbs. Who cares? Why? Well, I was at dinner and they gave out bread, and the bread is like this really good bread with truffle butter. Man. Shout out to Final Cut Steakhouse over at the casino. And I ate it. And I don't think you realize when you feel depressed, like not like sad depressed, but like in that state where I started eating bread again, and I was doing about 40 carbs per day, so I'm out of keto, thinking it'd be fine. I started feeling more tired, started gaining weight back, and the bread was messing me up. And so then, long story short, personal trainer says, cut out the bread, increase your carbs, it'll make you feel better. Sure enough, I felt great, like $1 million. Cut the bread out, tried doing bread first. It knocked me out. I was miserable. I think the gluten was really messing me up. For real. And this was my thought, because I was doing like elimination diet type stuff. But then one day I had a lot of flour, and the next day I was sick. And I'm like, I can't do this. So cut out all the bread and generally found favorable results. Like I felt pretty good. And then the problem is I eat breakfast, do my morning show. I eat lunch, skate. I eat dinner, nightly show. And on any day that for some reason I missed dinner or whatever, I was like, I don't have the same levels of sustained energy from when I was doing the high fat keto diet. And so then basically, long story short is I had the robot ChatGPT craft a meal plan for me, and I was following it mostly. It's like peanut butter, some banana here and there, a little bit of oatmeal. And then I asked it about anti-inflammation and better dieting for aging. And it legit just told me to do keto. And I thought it was actually kind of interesting that because normally they tell you not to do it. They're like, no, it's bad for you. And it said, here's your morning plan, eggs, avocado, butter. And I was like, that sounds keto. And so then I said, this sounds like a keto diet. It said, correct. And then I said, would I be better off following a standard glucose-based diet with these rates? It says, no, as you age, this could lead to inflammation. And it told me to do keto. And I was like, well, give me whatever excuse you want. I'll start doing keto again, I guess. And so this morning I just had eggs and some heavy cream with a protein shake and some espresso. And I feel like I got lightning surging through me. I feel really good. But I tell you this, man, I was also thinking this like last week because we went to a Mexican restaurant and I was like, I want sour cream and guacamole. And after having eaten that and not too many chips, because that's carbs, right? I felt great. And I'm like, I don't know, man. When I think about what I like to eat, what makes me feel good, it is guacamole, it is avocado, it is fatty steak. I don't want bread. I don't want crackers. I don't want candy. That stuff. I don't like cake. Like, cake tastes good, but if someone offered me, like, I don't know, a bisque, like a bisque soup, a creamy tomato bisque. Granted, if they don't put flour in it, I would just prefer that more. Lobster bisque, fantastic. So that's just me. That's just me, man. Let's go grab a couple more super chats. Souls G says, women who have PCOS don't go through male puberty. Their hormones are usually seriously out of whack, and it causes problems like infertility, heroism, I don't know what that is, hair thinning, extra weight, insulin resistance. So there are a few people I've met in my life who were, because of it, they were experiencing high testosterone. I'm not saying they all do. And so they had to get drugs to suppress it. Mr. Fish Pirate says 4 weekends ago, President Trump assassination attempt. 3 weekends ago, Biden quits. 2 weekends ago, Olympics insults 1/4 of the world population. This weekend, global economy in free fall. Next weekend, aliens. Shout out to Joe Rogan. It's going to be aliens. Joe's going to be on the case. I'm kidding, by the way. Joey Giggle says, it also say it depends on your workouts. I need 2 carbs when doing CrossFit because of my intensity. Everyone is different, of course. Also, hi, Shane. I think that's it. I think everybody's different. When I was skating and doing keto, it was nuts. I just felt like I had infinite energy. Now when I'm skating, after about an hour, I start to feel the decline, and I'm trying to like snack. And ChatGPT is like, if you're starting to feel tired during a tense workout, have a snack. And I'm like, I can't eat in the middle of skating. That's weird. And so I'm just like, so here's what happened basically. Like, I'm skating. I skate for 2 hours every day. I'm hitting VO2 max like crazy. Really just intense workout. Probably bad. And once I'm done, I'm like struggling to walk. I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. I could barely move. I eat dinner and then I'm like, hey, I feel really good. I could probably skate again. This happened on Saturday. We skated. I skated mad intense. I was trying to do a run on the mini ramp, and I usually don't incorporate big flip tricks on mini ramp skating. For those that know skating, for everyone else, it'll be esoteric. You won't be. It's just jargon. But I was basically just doing like board slide fakie disaster, nollie back disaster. Then that's where I try and go for like the actual tricks I want to get, which is nollie back big spin, which I could get almost every time, no stall, and then switch hard flip. Mad intensity, hour and 20 minutes, and I was just drenched. And I'm like, I cannot move. I skated every day, high intensity. We went and got Korean barbecue, and I had extremely high fat, and I only had a small cup of rice. And then we were heading back to skate the castle, which is where we were skating earlier. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not tired. I can skate. Skated for another hour, burned another 1,000 calories, and I was just like, you know, I ate this massive high protein, high fat diet, and I felt like I could keep going. I'll probably just go with that. That's just me. That's just me. Everybody different. Doomsday Machine says, wasn't there a House MD episode about a person who had that issue? Yes. Indeed there was. Aaron Beaver says, after being called insert phobic, racist, Nazis, etc., being called weird is kind of charming. Agreed, my friend. Stephen Buttle says, have you seen Ghost Stories? Anime? The English translation is so bad it's good. You should watch it. Okay, I like that. Sounds fun. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wind things down. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member to support our work directly. But for the wait, I ruined it already. But for the cost of only a few cups of coffee per month, you too could join the Timcast Discord server, hang out with like-minded individuals, and help make these shows possible. I got to tell you, after this election, I expect revenues to plummet. 2 things. If Kamala wins, people are going to lose their minds. The economy is going to crash. And I'm really worried about what that means business-wise. If Trump wins, actually, I think if Trump wins, the business is going to flourish. The economy is going to improve rapidly. We've seen it with Milei. It's a fact. Executive authority can improve these economies. Milei is doing a great job. Confidence will resume, market rates will return, and the media will go nuts. If Trump wins, it is going to be a windfall for everybody. Here's hoping, but I do know that regardless, it will be our members, $10 a month at timcast.com, who help make this all possible. And I was thinking about this. I was like, maybe I should actually do one of those pitches they used to have us do back in the day when I'd be on the street, send people up. It was always like, introduction, hi, my name is, who we are with, the problem we face, what we're doing about it, and how you can help. There's like the bullet points. So it's like, hi, I'm Tim. I work for this. I'm here with Timcast. The problem we've got today is the media is just a corrupt, lying institution of smear merchants. They will mislabel people, falsely frame arguments, and this is leading to a degradation in social order. It's leading to a degradation in how our country functions. So we here at Timcast try to do 2 shows. Another rule is never say try. We do 2 shows every day, 2 hours in the morning, 3 hours at night. That is more live recording for any host ever. 5 hours a day from me. Our goal is to try and show you the news and break through the lies to the best of our abilities, and we are imperfect, and then give you our opinions on it. Though we may get them wrong, we'll always try to make sure that if we disagree politically, I will actually show you what the news is saying, and I will counter any potential misinformation to make sure that you can make the best decision imaginable. How can you help? Well, my friends, if we do not get real news and real information to the masses and expand programs like ours, then people are going to vote for bad politicians. They're going to vote us into wars and crises, and that makes everybody suffer. So what can you do about it? Watch the show, share the show with your friends, and become a member at Timcast.com. For only $10 a month, you too can join in our efforts. And so that's ad lib, but that's basically the gist of it. Really hope you consider it. And in the meantime, we're going to peace out. Smash the like button. We'll be back at 8 p.m. for Timcast IRL. We've got, who do we got tonight? We got a great guest, one of my favorites, Nick Freitas. He is absolutely fantastic. He's a VA politician and a quick-witted guy, good principles, good morals. It's going to be a fun night. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.